I really wish I had a better mobile device controller. There you go. Oh, cool, thanks. You guys like that? That's my editor. Today we're looking at the Gamesir G8 Plus controller. This is the Bluetooth variant compared to the USB-C variant that they have out now. I think it's called the Galileo, I'm not too sure. I was in the market for a versatile mobile device controller, and I'm in the weird place now where I have an iPhone that's Lightning, I have an iPhone that's USB-C, I have other devices that are USB-C, I have a Switch that is Bluetooth, so I was like, you know what, let me not go for something that has a actual connection on it, and let me go for something that's Bluetooth, a little more versatile. I'm not too worried about the input delay because it's gonna be very minimal, so why not go ahead and try something new? And I did, and here's what I think. I'm not new to Gamesir. I actually had their X2 Pro controller, which I did a review on. That was a USB-C controller, and I really liked it. It was small, compact, you know, I got my use out of it. The only thing was it was USB-C for Android, and when I got a new iPhone, it didn't work on there. I tried all the different tactics and nothing worked, so I sold it. But I was like, okay, well now I want a new controller, and then I got this. And I got this one specifically because a lot of these controllers, and I'll use my Backbone as an example, they have a certain length that they extend to, and then they don't go past that. The Gamesir still has a length, but the length is so much bigger. You can fit a lot in here. So it doesn't really stop at just phones. It goes to tablets like the Switch or an iPad. I've seen people put like a small monitor in here. I wouldn't do that, but I guess that's cool. Yeah, so that just opens the door to having, I would watch videos of people making the ultimate Switch where they put Joy-Cons on the side of a TV. Like, you don't have to do that. You can just put the Switch in here and you have a full-blown controller. And you get all this in a package that's around $70 on Amazon, which is what I paid for. It would be cool if Gamesir wants to start sending me stuff, but that's on them. So the unboxing is pretty straightforward. You have the controller itself, as well as an additional normal thumbstick, a GameCube style analog stick, and a smaller nub. It kind of looks like the C-stick from the GameCube. So you have that stuff, you have a box with the manual and everything, and you have a USB-A to a USB-C cable. Pretty straightforward. So taking a closer look at the controller, it really does feel like a modern console controller in this form factor. You have nice beefy grips to hold on to, you have face buttons, you have a full-size analog stick, a clicky D-pad, clicky shoulder buttons, and analog triggers. And the big thing about this is they are saying it has Hall effect joysticks and triggers. That doesn't really mean anything to me because I have controllers that aren't Hall effect and some of them haven't gotten drift. I don't think I've ever gotten drift on something that's not a Switch. I mean, I guess it's a cool feature to have, but it is really comfortable in the hands. And when I use something like the X2 Pro before or the Backbone, it does kind of get cramped after a little bit, especially since they're more squared off. But I guess that's the trade-off of having something so compact compared to having something that's the size of a flattened out controller. In addition to that, so the X2 Pro had magnetic buttons that you can pull out and swap the A and B, because sometimes you might play a Nintendo game and A is somewhere else and B is somewhere else. This thing has a whole front cover that comes off. It's held in magnetically by these magnets on the insides. And from here, you can swap out the actual joysticks as well as take out the face buttons. There's little grooves on the side. You just put your fingernails under there, peel it out, swap it up, and it's very simple. The instruction manual it's straightforward. It tells you what it needs, but also has it in like 20 languages, which makes it way bigger than it needs to be. But it does give you everything that you might be wondering about all the different features this thing has. So in that regards, it's good. There's 4 main pairing modes, and they all are different combinations of this little circle button right here next to the M, in addition to a face button. Now there's a Android mode, like a touchscreen mapping mode. There's one for iOS, and there's also one for the Switch. What I use specifically, or what I plan on using it for, is the Switch and iOS, but I did try the Android one and that works well. And I'm assuming that the one to map touchscreen controls would work well for games that require it. Like I know Genshin Impact on Android does not have controller compatibility, so it would be good for that. But I did not test that. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this thing is versatile in its nature. At the smallest size, it'll hold something like an iPhone 13 mini, but at its largest size, it will hold even an iPad 6 mini, which I've used it on both and they both fit well and they're snug. What I actually like this mostly for, and I wasn't expecting this, is a switch. It fits the switch perfectly. Within here are little rubber grooves, and you can kind of put these where the rails are, and it just stays in there so snug. It almost sits pretty much flush with the top of the controller, so it feels like it's a meant to be Joy-Con attachment, and they're way more comfortable than Joy-Cons. I'm not one of those guys who test input and count the frames, but I can say that I haven't noticed anything crazy. I even played Smash on this, which is pretty important to have your inputs on time, and haven't noticed anything. That being said, I didn't play online, but online introduces a bunch of online connectivity issues, so that's gonna vary regardless of what controller you're using. And the fact that it has its own dedicated pairing mode is even more convenient because you press the button and Y for switch, and it just connects to your switch. You can even wake up the switch by pressing the Gamesir button, and a lot of third-party controllers don't do that, so that's pretty cool. So I've only used this thing out of the box. I haven't charged it yet, and I've played it for about 5 hours, no issues, but it does claim to get 8 hours on a single charge, and there's 2 different batteries on each of the sides. They do say if you charge it, try to charge it while it's compact like this. If you stretch it out, then the left side without the USB-C does not charge to full capacity. So this has back buttons, and they're programmable, and that pairs well with the modes on here, such as the turbo and the macro. So if you want to do turbo, you just hit the M button right here and press the button you want, and you can map to the back. You'll see I use my example of Metroid, where I mapped it to the firing button, and it's just constant. It's a turbo button. We've seen this on Mad Catz and all this other crappy controllers. You also have, the actual back button you can map. So for me, I was playing Call of Duty and I mapped it to the jump and slide like most people do. But then you can also map macros. So if you map a single button, it only does a single button. But if you map, I think I put it in Metroid and Smash, where you can jump and press B, or you can jump and shoot. You can map that to one input, so you record it and then hit it and it does it. I'm not really one to use macros. I can't really imagine a realistic situation I need it in. Maybe Pokemon, trying to get through the initial battle settings, when you have to click start and then hit battle or whatever, I don't know. Or choosing the Pokeball and going through the bag, maybe. I'm not gonna use it, but that's what it's there for. And I guess having more features is cool, but at some point, if you add too many, things get confusing. And the instructions kind of are confusing with this. I noticed that for setting an actual back button, it tells you to hit both left and right back buttons in the back, when really you just have to hit one, hit the button you want, and then hit one again. But we figured it out. Also, so I know when I did the X2 Pro, I used the app and it's really sketchy because it asks for permissions. I guess people vetted them out and they're not as sketchy as they seem to be, but the iOS app doesn't ask for any permissions, so I feel more comfortable using it on an iPhone. But you don't need the app to use this, you just have more customization. The app is pretty cool as well. You have some onboard customization with this if you want to increase the triggers, like make them hairline, or the joysticks, but it's just easier doing the app so you can see what's happening. You can set it so the triggers, like I said, are hairline. You can swap these buttons right here, the AB button for a Nintendo Switch configuration, and I guess that's more so for emulators on your phone. You can also just map that in the emulator and swap the buttons physically. And if you put it on the Switch, it does it anyway. But it's good. You can test the inputs. For some reason, my select button was a little delayed. Not really a big deal because I don't see select as being a button you really need to press that fast, but still a little weird. Apart from that, it's cool how you can measure everything else. You can see the battery percentage and you can update it. Now I tested this on my iPad, my iPhone, my Pixel, my Switch. And the number one thing that I like about it is the fact that I can use these devices while they're in their cases. But I do have a con. The con is that most of the ports are being covered, so you have to have Bluetooth headphones. And I'm not against that, I use AirPods anyway, but when it comes to using a wired headset, I don't know, I guess some people are more audiophiles than me and they prefer that. The Switch has no problem because the audio is on top, but just a warning to those people who prefer wired headphones. I guess it's not really a con for me, but it is out there. The cons for me more so align with the pairing. So because you have 4 different settings, if you have multiple devices that are utilizing the same pairing method, for example, my iPad and my iPhone, it pairs it as a DualShock 4. And I was paired to my iPhone, connected well, everything was fine. I want to pair to my iPad, but it just wants to pair to my iPhone. So you can't really pair to 2 separate things. You have to go into the settings, disconnect it, sometimes even forget it, and then pair it to your iPad. It gets even more confusing when you don't have the app downloaded because you can't see when it's connected or disconnected. It shows up as Gamesir G8 Plus, but then there's also that second one, that's DualShock 4. I just named it Gamesir. So I see Gamesir and Gamesir. You want to make sure they're both connected to use it. It's just a little headache. But when it comes to the switch, like I said, because unless you have multiple switches, but when it comes to that, you just go ahead and pair it and it works and it's fine. So if you're planning on using it on more than one device that's of the same device, I recommend either having some patience or just choosing a main device to play on. But regardless of the device, reprogramming the buttons is very easy. You can do it in settings or you can do it on here. Another con I had, very passive and very just me. Hey, let's start not making the instruction manual have 50 pages. Like I don't need every single language. I know it's like a one-stop shop. You just put one little pamphlet together, but like maybe put like a QR code or maybe put something where it's like, oh, pick your language. That would have been a little easier because I like to have it out while I play with it. And I had like a whole like poster out. So I just took a picture and cropped it. The other thing that takes some getting used to is the analog stick placement. Usually full-size controllers have analog sticks that are more inside towards the middle. This one is right below the buttons and above the D-pad. It's not the worst, but it takes some getting used to. I guess it doesn't really go where your thumb naturally glides and falls to. And the last thing, this thing isn't compact. The X2 Pro is compact. The backbone is relatively compact, but this thing is not. Now, is it the end of the world? No. I wouldn't want to throw this into my backpack just because I feel like I want to care for something I paid money for. So you can do an alternative and get a normal carrying case. This is the one that I use for my ROG Ally and it works fine. I can actually go ahead, keep my Nintendo Switch in here, and this fits my Switch and the gamepad and it's protected. So you can definitely find a carrying case for it. I think this carrying case was like either $20 or less on Amazon. So still portable enough to take, but not small enough to slip into a pocket or put into a small backpack. And that's essentially it, guys. That's my view about the Gamesir G8 Bluetooth edition. I like it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep it. I was gonna get the X2S, which is just a smaller Bluetooth version of the X2 Pro, but I wasn't really comfortable with that size when I'm playing games. This one offers a little bit more, and also this one fits a Switch, which is probably what I'm gonna be using it more for. But also I'm gonna use it for iPhone games and all of that. So would I recommend this? Yes, it does go on sale pretty often. You can definitely get it under $70. I say give it a try. See if you like it. If you don't like it, return it. If you like it, keep it. And it does have a wired mode too if you want to use this as a wired controller. I just don't, I would use a normal controller. I don't know why you would want to use like a weird boy. I don't know. It's a weird little man, but the option is there. And like I said, more features, cool, I guess. But I wanna know what you guys think. Are you guys into mobile gaming? And if you are, does something like this interest you? Did you have this before and you ended up not liking it? And if you do like it, did I miss anything in terms of features and abilities that I might not know about? Let me know down in the comments. If you like the video, drop a like. If you wanna see more videos in the future, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.